Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
Welcome into Bison Media Zone on this Wednesday morning. No Dom Izzo here this week for this edition of the show, but he's off for the week. Should be back next week, so be sure to tune into that as well. But we got a lot to talk about. NDSU football is making some moves. Zach Mathis drafted into the CFL. We'll touch on that a little bit later on in this half hour. And some news in the NBA Summer League that involves North Dakota State basketball great. We'll touch on that later on as well. So a lot of things going on. It's an exciting time. College football is just right around the corner. Whether you like it or not, it's approaching. The train's moving, and it is not stopping. July 1st was a big day for college football, not just in the FBS level, but in the FCS level as well. Some news in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Western Illinois officially has a new home in the Ohio Valley. And sooner than later, after a little bit, Missouri State's going to be bumping up to the FBS level. So some things are changing, and that was all kind of kicked off on Monday when those changes were officially put in place. And, of course, a lot of changes in the FBS. But for North Dakota State football, it has been a very, very good last couple of months on the recruiting trail for the class of 2025. They had a very strong month of June that got a lot of top players in North Dakota, in Minnesota, elsewhere, Wisconsin. They've been doing a real good job in the month of June. And that fed over into July, now that we're here on July 3rd. The commits keep coming verbally. They've made their announcements over social media. And so what I want to do today is kind of run you through some of the guys and tell you about them that have announced their commitments over the last couple of days. And if you were tuned into Hot Mike earlier this morning, right here on WDAY Extra, Inform.com, and KSFL TV, and on WDAY Plus, our app. If you were tuned in this morning, you heard from Khalif Brown, who was one of those first guys to commit over the weekend into this week. He committed on Friday. 6'1", 190 pounds, out of Benilde St. Margaret's. And as you watch the clips, you'll notice here one heck of a wide receiver, a 3-star recruit that North Dakota State is getting here, the 19th best player in Minnesota in the rankings. And interesting story with him. He's going to go from wide receiver, what he's been playing his entire life, and then eventually, when he makes his way up to North Dakota State for college, he's going to make the transition to a defensive back. And we were chatting with him earlier on this morning's edition of Hot Mike, how that's going to work. And he said it. He was a little nervous at first, and now he's getting excited for it, which is great news for North Dakota State fans. He's going to take some time in his senior year and figure out the position, figure out what kind of defensive back he can be. He's also going to focus very heavily on being a wide receiver in his senior year as well, because as you watch the clips, he's a really good wide receiver. So he'll make the transition. He's got a lot of good support there in Benilde St. Margaret's. Marquise Bridges, an all-conference cornerback for North Dakota State back in the day. He is the defensive backs coach for Benilde, which is down there in the Twin Cities. So if you wanted to learn how this position works, that's a great place to find it. Cole Jacob is also a part of the Benilde St. Margaret's Scarlet Knights, I believe their mascot is, part of that coaching staff. He is an NDSU great. He is a wide receiving coach over there at Khalif's high school. So for Khalif's numbers offensively, 70 receptions in his junior year, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. He had offers from FBS schools, and eventually decided, hey, want to go to North Dakota State. So now all 6 at this point, because he committed on Friday, and we're going to go chronologically here. At this point, all 6 Minnesota recruits are in the top 30 rankings at the point when Khalif Brown announced his commitment to North Dakota State, which is super cool. And if you missed the conversation with him, you can watch it back on WDAY Plus on this morning's edition of Hot Mike. Again, Dom Izzo out this week. Sam Getzinger here with you. Appreciate you for joining us. Also on Friday, North Dakota State picked up another commit, and this is one that I thought was super interesting because he is an electric athlete to watch in the clips that I've seen so far. Charles Ross announced his commitment to North Dakota State on Friday. He's 5'11", 180 pounds, and when you watch these, you'll notice he plays all over the field. He's from Kansas City. Last year, he scored touchdowns in 4 different ways. He hit for the football cycle, if you will. He had a pick 6, obviously ran for a touchdown, caught a touchdown. He had 4 return kicks for a touchdown, and you just saw one there. 4 of them. So he is going to be a huge threat on the North Dakota State special teams. And I always think that's huge. You have to think about special teams too, because those are the guys in big moments, they need to turn it on, and those are guys that can win you and potentially lose you ball games. So to have a return man like this, and I said it on Monday during Hot Mic, and I'll say it again today, I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if it's a Pop Warner team. If you have to go return a kickoff for a touchdown, that is not an easy thing to do. And to say that you did it 4 times against some of the top varsity teams in Kansas City, that's pretty cool. From what I'm reading, and there's articles up about all these guys on inform.com, from what I'm reading, Charles Ross was a little under-recruited. And when he gets to North Dakota State, he will be slated as a running back. So that is the second running back in the class of 2025. Money Miles Mitchell is the other one. And we spoke with him a couple of weeks ago on his commitment to North Dakota State. So a couple of big threats offensively coming for Coach Polisek's recruiting class of 2025. 3 other players committed to North Dakota State over the last couple of days, one of them being Thomas Roberts, a defensive end from Nebraska. He committed on Saturday to kick off a couple of recruits announcing over the weekend. 6'3", 215 pounds, a defensive end. He's got championship pedigree to him. He is coming in as a preferred walk-on. He had multiple Division II offers prior to North Dakota State offering him. North Dakota Class C1, first team in all-state selection. And he helped his team in Nebraska win the state championship in Class C1. I'm not exactly familiar the class system in Nebraska, but a big get defensively. And the defensive line and linebacker group looks to be pretty solid for North Dakota State in this class of 2025. Our sports crew caught up with Thomas Roberts earlier this week and talked to him about his decision to come to North Dakota State.
I was talking to Coach, and he said that throughout all their Division I FCS national titles, they've had the same strength and conditioning coach the whole time. And that stood out to me because obviously he's I would say, a key component to the recipe for success.
6'3", 215 pounds, pretty solid size for a defensive end. And I'm sure when he gets into this strength and conditioning weight room and with North Dakota State, he's only going to get bigger. So Thomas Roberts will be joining North Dakota State, announced his verbal commitment from Nebraska, announced that commitment on Saturday. Speaking of size at the defensive end position, North Dakota State was not done. Carter Downer from West Fargo, a local guy, signing with the Bison. 6'4", 220 pounds, and the kid looks like he lives in the weight room. I was looking through his social media the other day, and he is jacked. Team captain for the Packers. He's the second in-state recruit from North Dakota. Walker Broughton being the other one. And Walker will be a defensive back as a part of this class of 2025. The Packers out of West Fargo, it's been a tough go at it for a little while. They went 2-8. I'm sure things will turn around as time progresses. Carter's going to go into his senior year, and he had multiple Division II offers, including Minot State Minnesota State Moorhead was knocking on the door as well. But there's a pedigree between West Fargo and North Dakota State football. And Carter Downer and our sports team talked with him as well, kind of wanted to follow that pedigree. Carson Hagerly is a big reason why he came to North Dakota State.
That was really cool seeing him go to NDSU, and even though we're not in the same position, he was a wide receiver and I'm a defensive end, which is pretty different, but it's just cool following the lead of those guys that were super good at your school.
There's been some greats that have come from West Fargo High School that have gone to NDSU and done some big-time things. And when I say he lives in the weight room, it looks like he lives in the weight room, 475-pound squat and 10 reps of 225. Couldn't ask me to do that if I had to save my own life. And he's coming on as a preferred walk-on, Carter Downer. So then we had another one just last night, a teammate of Khalif Brown, Chase Brixius, announcing his commitment to North Dakota State. 6'2", 217-pound linebacker, also from Benilde St. Margaret's. Brixius had offers from 10 Division I schools, including Montana State. SDSU was there, and eventually it came down to the bottom two. He narrowed it down to North Dakota State and to Buffalo. And the better Bison won. North Dakota State picks up the verbal commitment from Chase Brixius. 57 tackles, 53 of them solo. He had 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles in his junior year. Was the team defensive MVP and an all-conference selection as well. A 3-star linebacker out of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. He's ranked as the 20th ranked recruit out of the state. So I tell you what, North Dakota State has done a super good job of getting players from Minnesota that are in the top 30, top 40, top 50, and getting them here to NDSU. And we've been talking about it over the last month or so. It's easy to get excited about the class of 2025 because it's the hype that's happening over the summer. These kids announcing their verbal commitments for a couple of years down the road is happening sooner than it used to in the past. These guys all have a senior season to play at their respective high schools. We'll be keeping a close eye on them, but that's the news. So now we're up to 25 commits for the class of 2025. We've been doing our best to try to let you know who they are as they come in. I'm sure there may be some more. Dom's got the inside scoop on all that stuff, and he will be back next week. We'll try to track them as they come in as well. But it looks like a very, very good class. A lot of 3-star recruits, which in the FCS level is like a 5-star recruit. So it looks like a very, very good class that's coming into North Dakota State. And if this is how Coach Polasek recruiting goes throughout his tenure as the head coach, I think we're sitting in a very good spot. With that being said, we're due for a break here on Bison Media Zone. We'll step aside. We have some more news from a former Bison, Zach Mathis. We'll let you know what's going on in his life when we come back on Bison Media Zone on this Wednesday morning. Welcome back to Bison Media Zone on this Wednesday morning on WDAY Extra, Inform.com, and KSFL TV in Sioux Falls. You can also watch this back on WDAY Plus as well, our app. Appreciate you for joining us. Dom's got the week off this week. He will be back next week. We'll tell you what's going on with Dom next week. Very exciting. That also involves some big news around North Dakota State football as well. That's coming up in just a little bit. Sam Getzinger here with you. Appreciate you for joining us as we get ready for the 4th of July. That is right around the corner, just one sleep away. Talked about the class of 2025 just a couple of minutes ago. 25 recruits, 11 of them 3-star recruits. So those are the kids that are coming up and are now waiting in the wings to join Bison football. One man who has come through the program and put his stamp on what Bison football is and what he could do for North Dakota State is Zach Mathis, and he had some big news that was released just a couple of days ago. He was selected to the Edmonton Elks in the CFL supplemental draft. So what that means is the Edmonton Elks will forfeit their first-round draft pick in the 2025 CFL draft because they took Mathis, and the supplemental draft is for players that are not from Canada. He has citizenship now. He has it now that he's been taken. His dad, Marion, was also born in Canada, so that helped out. And we know what Zach Mathis has done over his career. He spent 6 years here in Fargo. He was invited to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rookie camp after his pro day, and now he's finally going to get his shot of playing professional football in the CFL. And I can't say I know too much about the CFL in general or the supplemental draft, but here's how I take this. If you're a team and if you are going to forego or forfeit your first-round draft pick that's coming up in 2025 to pick up Mathis in a supplemental draft, I think that's pretty impressive. I think that says a lot about what Edmonton thinks of Zach Mathis, and rightfully so. He is a pretty good athlete, watching some of the clips there. The Elks right now struggling. Last I checked, they were 0 on the season, 0-4. Finished 4-14 in 2023. So hopefully that Mathis can come in there and turn things around. It's not sure exactly when he's going to start popping up there, and not known when Mathis will play for Edmonton. But where does that put us now? 5 guys from 2023 that are playing pro ball? That's super cool. That's impressive. There's a lot of FBS schools who can't do that. And I know the conversation is had every year about that. But tip of the cap to Zach Mathis and what he's been able to do at NDSU, and now going to go play professional football. Maybe down the road does he get a chance back here in the States? We'll see. Was speaking with Jeff Kolpak earlier this week, says Mathis needs to get a little quicker. So we'll see how he progresses. But do want to send a congratulations to him, another member of the Pro Bison family. And speaking of Pro Bison, Cody Malk was just in the state not too long ago hosting a camp down in Wahpeton. 300 kids. I should say sold out, but it wasn't sold out. It was free, so it was cool to see Cody back here up in the state of North Dakota. While we're on the topic of North Dakota State football, and I know it doesn't involve Bison Media Zone, but I do want to remind you, just so you can put it on your radar again, and we've been talking about it this week on Hot Mic as well. Hot Mic will be live in Vegas on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, talking all things North Dakota State football as they get ready for Colorado. That's coming up in, what is that now? 53, 54, 52 days, something like that. Right around the corner. North Dakota State and Colorado playing on August 29th. And there's some other Missouri Valley Football Conference teams that will be playing teams out of the Big 12. UND is one of them. Will take on Iowa State, which will not be an easy matchup. That will be on August 31st. Of course, Eli Green, who is a big-time player for NDSU, is now with Iowa State. Tyler Roll is taking his coaching talents to Iowa State as well. And then also in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, South Dakota State, the defending national champions, they will be taking on Oklahoma State, which will not be an easy game. But let's be honest, North Dakota State and South Dakota State have a chance to win that first game against some highly touted FBS competition. Also, SIU and BYU will be playing. So 4 games, FCS, FBS crossover, Missouri Valley Football Conference, and the Big 12 to start the season. That's pretty cool. And again, Dom will be down there live with Hot Mic, live on Tuesday, live on Wednesday from 9 to 11. You can catch it on WDAY Extra, Inform.com, and on KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, and also on WDAY+. Coach Prime, we'll hear from Coach Prime. He'll be there. His son Shador will be there, back for another year, elected not to go into the draft. Neither did Travis Hunter. He will be at Media Day. And Shiloh Sanders will be at Media Day as well. The punter for Colorado will be there too. So Dom will be there getting you ready for the start of the college football season, which is right around the corner, whether you like it or not. So be sure to tune into that. It should be pretty cool. And the excitement continues to build for North Dakota State football as we get closer to the start of the season. We only got a couple of seconds left here on Bison Media Zone on this Wednesday. I do want to share some other news involving North Dakota State alumni before we wrap up the show today. Men's basketball standout Tyson Ward has been invited to play in the Summer League in San Antonio, for San Antonio, I should say. Congratulations to him. Tyson is a great, one of the best to do it in a North Dakota State uniform. Excuse me. So the Summer League starts on the 12th, and it will run through the 19th, I believe. So we'll be keeping our eye on Tyson Ward. We wish him the best of luck, and hopefully he can earn his way through an NBA contract, a G League contract, after spending some time overseas. But that's some other news there. Appreciate you for joining us on Bison Media Zone. We'll see you back here next week. Have a good one.